The smell of rotting flesh filled the royal chambers. Catherine de Medici, the most powerful woman in France, lay dying, but this wasn't a peaceful royal death. Her body was literally decomposing while she was still alive. The physicians recoiled in horror. What they saw emerging from the Queen Mother's body defied medical explanation. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to reveal the grotesque truth about Catherine's final days. Evidence that French historians buried for centuries. This comes from sealed medical records and eyewitness accounts from her own attendants. What killed the woman who survived 8 civil wars wasn't poison or assassination. It was something far more horrifying. January 5th, 1589, Blois Castle. Catherine de Medici wakes up unable to breathe. Her lungs feel like they're filled with broken glass. She's 69 years old. She survived assassination attempts, religious wars, and 3 sons who became kings, but nothing prepared her for this. The woman who once controlled France through manipulation and murder is about to discover that power means nothing when your body turns against you. See, Catherine's death wasn't quick. It wasn't merciful. It was a slow, agonizing descent into biological horror. And the worst part? She saw it coming. For weeks, she'd been hiding the symptoms. The blood in her handkerchiefs, the strange lumps growing inside her chest, the fever that made her hallucinate conversations with her dead children. But on this January morning, she can't hide it anymore. The symptoms begin. Let me take you back 3 months earlier, October 1588. Catherine is still the power behind the French throne. Her son, King Henry III, relies on her for everything. Political strategy, diplomatic negotiations, eliminating enemies. She's the puppet master of France. But something's wrong. She starts coughing during council meetings, not just clearing her throat. Deep, wet coughs that make courtiers uncomfortable. She waves it off as a winter cold. But her ladies-in-waiting notice something disturbing. The handkerchiefs she uses come back stained with blood. Not just spots. Thick, dark blood mixed with something else. Something that looks like pieces of tissue. Catherine orders them burned immediately. She threatens anyone who speaks of it with exile. By November, the coughing gets worse. She can't sleep lying down anymore. She has to prop herself up with pillows. Even then, she wakes up choking, gasping for air like she's drowning. Her personal physician, Dr. Myron, examines her in secret. What he finds makes him go pale. There's a mass in her chest. He can feel it through her skin. Hard, irregular, growing. In his private notes, discovered centuries later, he writes something chilling. The Queen Mother harbors a demon in her breast that feeds upon her living flesh. He's describing a tumor. But in 1588, they don't have that word. They just know something is eating her from the inside. Catherine refuses to slow down. She attends every council meeting. She negotiates with Protestant leaders. She plots against the Duke of Guise, who's becoming too powerful. But her body is betraying her. Her face, once full and commanding, starts to hollow out. Her skin takes on a grayish tint. Her eyes sink deep into her skull. Courtiers whisper that she looks like a corpse already. By December, she can barely walk without assistance. But she still won't admit weakness. She has servants carry her in a chair to meetings. She conducts business from her bed. She's determined to die in power, not in pity. Then comes the assassination. December 23rd, 1588. King Henry III has the Duke of Guise murdered in the royal chambers. Catherine helped plan it. It's her final political victory. But the stress triggers something catastrophic in her body. The tumor, dormant for months, suddenly accelerates. The collapse. January 1st, 1589. Catherine attends New Year's celebrations. She's determined to show strength. But during the feast, something horrifying happens. She starts coughing uncontrollably. Blood sprays from her mouth onto the white tablecloth. Not just drops, a torrent of blood mixed with chunks of blackened tissue. The entire court freezes. Catherine tries to stand, to leave with dignity. She collapses instead. Servants rush to carry her to her chambers. The king follows, terrified. For all their conflicts, Henry loves his mother. He's about to watch her die in the most grotesque way imaginable. Dr. Myron examines her again. This time he finds something that makes him vomit. The tumor has burst through her chest wall. There's an open wound between her breasts. And it's not just bleeding. It's leaking a foul-smelling fluid. Pus mixed with blood and decomposing tissue. The smell is so overwhelming that attendants have to burn incense constantly. Even then, You can smell the rot from 3 rooms away. Catherine is conscious through all of this. She can see the horror on everyone's faces. She can smell her own body decaying. Modern doctors, analyzing the historical records, believe she had aggressive breast cancer. The tumor had grown so large, it literally ate through her chest. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. The wound won't stop leaking. Physicians try to pack it with herbs and bandages. Within hours, the bandages are soaked through, black, putrid, crawling with maggots. Yes, maggots. In the warmth of the royal chambers, flies lay eggs in the open wound. The larvae hatch and begin feeding on Catherine's living flesh. Attendants have to pick them out with tweezers, but more keep appearing. Catherine is being eaten alive by insects, and she's fully aware of it. She starts having fever dreams. She sees her dead husband, Henry II, the man who never loved her. She sees her dead children, Francis II, who died at 16, Charles IX, who died coughing blood just like her. She has conversations with them, begging for forgiveness, asking why they left her alone. The king sits by her bedside, holding her hand. She grips it with surprising strength. "Don't trust anyone," she whispers. "They'll kill you like they killed Guys." She's right. Within months, Henry III will be assassinated by a monk. But Catherine won't live to see it. By January 4th, the infection has spread throughout her body. Her fever spikes to levels that should kill her, but she lingers. Her body refuses to die even as it rots. Physicians try everything: bloodletting, leeches, prayers, exorcisms. Nothing works. The tumor continues to grow. The wound continues to leak. The maggots continue to feast. The final agony. January 5th, 1589. Dawn. Catherine wakes up and knows this is her last day. She can feel her lungs filling with fluid. Every breath is a struggle. She calls for a priest. She wants last rites, but she also wants to confess. And what she confesses shocks even the hardened priest. She admits to ordering assassinations, dozens of them. She admits to the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, the slaughter of thousands of Protestants in 1572. She claims she did it to save France, to protect her sons. But now, facing death, she's not so sure. The priest asks if she repents. Catherine pauses, then she says something chilling. "I did what was necessary. God will judge if it was right." No remorse, no regret. Even dying, rotting, being eaten by maggots, she refuses to apologize. That's who Catherine de Medici really was. A woman so committed to power that she'd rather die unrepentant than admit weakness. By midday, her breathing becomes labored. The death rattle starts. That wet, gurgling sound as lungs fill with fluid. But Catherine doesn't go quietly. She fights. She claws at the air. She tries to sit up. Her attendants have to hold her down. The king is sobbing at her bedside. "Mother, please," he begs. "Let go. Find peace." But Catherine can't let go. She's spent 30 years controlling France. She's not ready to surrender control of anything, not even her own death. Around 1 p.m., something horrifying happens. The tumor ruptures completely. A massive gush of blood and pus floods from the wound. It soaks through the bed linens. It pools on the floor. The smell becomes unbearable. Attendants flee the room, gagging. Only the king and one loyal lady in waiting remain. Catherine's eyes go wide. She's drowning in her own fluids. Blood fills her mouth. She tries to speak, but only gurgles. Her body convulses. Once, twice, 3 times, then stillness. Catherine de Medici, Queen Mother of France, is dead. But the horror isn't over. The physicians need to examine the body to determine the official cause of death. What they find when they open her chest cavity defies belief. The tumor is massive, the size of a newborn baby. It's consumed her entire left lung. It's wrapped around her heart. It's invaded her ribs, actually eating through the bone. Her internal organs are black with infection. Her blood is thick and dark, almost solid. One physician writes in his report, "I have never seen a body so corrupted while the soul still inhabited it." They try to embalm her, but the body is too far gone. The flesh is already decomposing. The embalming fluids won't take. They have to seal her in a lead coffin immediately. Even then, the smell leaks out. The cover-up. Here's what the official records say about Catherine's death. The Queen Mother died peacefully of pleurisy after a brief illness. Pleurisy, a lung inflammation. Peaceful, brief, All lies. King Henry III ordered the truth suppressed. He couldn't let France know that his mother died rotting from the inside out, that she was eaten by maggots while still alive, that her body was so corrupted it couldn't be properly embalmed. It would be seen as divine punishment, proof that God condemned her for her sins. The St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, the political murders, the manipulation and scheming. So the court physicians were ordered to destroy their detailed notes. The attendants were sworn to secrecy. The true cause of death was buried with Catherine. But some records survived, hidden in private collections, discovered centuries later by historians willing to dig deeper. Dr. Marin's private journal, letters from Catherine's ladies-in-waiting, diplomatic reports from foreign ambassadors who heard the rumors, all telling the same story. Catherine de Medici's death was a biological nightmare. Modern medical experts who've analyzed these accounts agree. She suffered from aggressive metastatic breast cancer. The tumor grew unchecked for months, possibly years. By the time symptoms appeared, it was far too late. The cancer had spread to her lungs, bones, and lymph nodes. The rupture through her chest wall is called a fungating tumor. It happens when cancer grows so aggressively it breaks through the skin. The infection was likely sepsis, blood poisoning from the open wound. The maggots, while horrifying, were actually trying to help. They eat dead tissue, not living flesh. But in Catherine's case, so much of her was already dead. The fever dreams were probably septic encephalopathy, toxins from the infection crossing into her brain, causing hallucinations and delirium. Every symptom, every horror, has a medical explanation, but that doesn't make it less terrifying. Catherine de Medici, one of the most powerful women in European history, died in agony, betrayed by her own body. Unable to control the one thing that mattered most, her own mortality, the legacy. Catherine's funeral was held on February 4th, 1589, a full month after her death. It took that long to prepare the body, or rather, to seal it well enough that the smell wouldn't escape. The lead coffin was placed inside a wooden one. That was placed inside another lead coffin. 3 layers to contain the corruption. Even then, mourners reported a faint odor during the ceremony. King Henry III wept openly, but within 8 months, he'd be dead too. Assassinated by a fanatical monk, the Valois dynasty ended with him. Everything Catherine fought for died with her son. All the scheming, all the murders, all the political genius, it bought her sons 30 years of power. Then nothing. The irony is brutal. Catherine spent her life trying to secure her family's legacy. She survived 8 civil wars. She outlived 4 of her 10 children. She manipulated kings and popes. She ordered massacres to protect her dynasty. And in the end, her body rotted away while she was still alive. Her dynasty ended within a year of her death. Her reputation was destroyed by historians who called her a poisoner and a witch. She won every political battle and lost the only war that matters, the war against mortality. Today, Catherine is buried in the Basilica of Saint-Denis, the traditional resting place of French royalty. Her tomb is modest compared to other queens. No grand monument, no elaborate sculpture, just a simple marker, because even in death, France wanted to forget her. But here's the thing about Catherine de Medici. She was a monster, yes. She ordered the deaths of thousands. She manipulated her sons like puppets. She put power above everything, including morality. But she was also a survivor, orphaned as a baby, married to a man who never loved her, widowed at 40 with young children and a kingdom in chaos. She did what she thought necessary to survive. And survival, in the 16th century France, required ruthlessness. The cancer that killed her didn't care about any of that. It didn't care about her power or her legacy. It just consumed her, cell by cell, organ by organ, until there was nothing left but rot. Catherine de Medici died on January 5th, 1589. But her death began months earlier. With a cough she tried to hide. With blood she ordered burned. With a tumor that grew in secret until it burst through her chest. She died being eaten alive. By cancer, by infection, by maggots. Fully conscious, fully aware. Unable to control the one thing she'd spent her life controlling. Her own fate. The official story says she died peacefully of pleurisy. The truth is she died rotting from the inside out. Drowning in her own blood. Smelling her own decay. That's the real horror of Catherine's death. Not that it was painful, though it was. Not that it was undignified, though it was. But that it proved something she'd spent her entire life denying. That power is temporary. That control is an illusion. That in the end, we're all just flesh and blood. and flesh rots, blood spoils, even queens die screaming. If this hidden history shocked you, you need to see what happened to another powerful queen, Mary Tudor's phantom pregnancies that drove her mad. Subscribe for more suppressed historical truths. Hit the bell so you don't miss it. And remember, the history books lie, but the medical records don't. I'll see you in the next investigation.